Thank you for joining me. I'll be with you in just a second. We're going to get to this. Thank you so much. Turn this sound down just a little bit. Welcome. Thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate you so much. Well, you read the headline. Ernesto Williams was denied his bond, and those phone calls from jail did come up in that hearing. And I predict that they're going to come up a lot in the preceding cases. This is just one case. Of course, this is the one involving the 19-year-old. We heard about the car and all that. But I'm going to play this courtroom, this hearing, and we have the infamous Sylvia to thank for this. She was down there in Atlanta and she was in the courtroom. Seems like she was the only journalist, if you can believe that. This is a high profile case, and Shirley Strawberry is still caught up in this mess. But let me get to playing this. Give me 1 second. I'm going to react to this too. I'm not going to jump in too much, but here we go. You'll see Ernesto Williams being led in by an officer. She keeps her name on this footage. And like I said, she's like the only one that was in the courtroom. And Ernesto Williams, his attorney, was upset that a journalist was there. You can also go to let me say her name right, infamous Sylvia's page here on YouTube. But you'll notice that she's cutting her eyes at the camera off and on. The sound will come in. They're just getting organized. And it's interesting how nice, I don't know if they let somebody come in and cut their hair, but his fade is kind of on point. We know that he's known for working in the male manosphere with the whole man beauty, fades, all that man barbershop care. So maybe somebody came in and did it for him. And I'm sure there's enough talented people in the jail. I've been in jail before performing for people in jail, and it's sad. It's a lot of talented young men in jail, a waste of life. But I just happened to notice that his fade is on point. I didn't realize you see her? She's cutting her eyes at the camera. She is not happy that someone is in the courtroom with a camera. And the infamous Sylvia said that I wasn't aware that there were journalists. Kind of upset about it.
All right, this is the matter of the state of Georgia versus Ernesto Williams. The defendant is in custody under complaint number 23 CP 219961, charged in that complaint with aggravated sexual battery, rape, aggravated sodomy, sexual battery, and trafficking a person for sexual servitude.
Sorry, that's my fault. I'm going to take this back.
Mr. Williams was arrested on July.
I was wondering why it wasn't. Okay, the first part is silent. I'm very sorry about that, but here it comes. Okay, so there's the sound. Just a couple of seconds. And you're going to notice that these attorneys, both the prosecuting and the defense attorney, they're not so prepared. But Ernesto has like 6 charges. 2 have been dropped, and there's like 4 remaining. So this is the one about the assault. I don't want to use the R word, but sexual assault against the 19-year-old. But they bring up all his priors, and all of this is having a bearing on the judge. And she is not a joke. She's well respected. The Honorable Judge Kimberly Edward Adams. She has a scholarship named after her. She's very well respected, and she is not playing. She wants people to be prepared
All
for
right,
court.
this is the matter of the state of Georgia versus Ernest Williams. The defendant is in custody under complaint number 23 CP 219961, charged in that complaint with aggravated sexual battery, rape, aggravated sodomy, sexual battery, and trafficking a person for sexual servitude. Appears that Mr. Williams was arrested on July 7th of 2022 and has been continuously in custody since that time. The motion for bond was filed September 25th of this year. It appears that Mr. Williams' first appearance hearing was July 10th. Should that date be 23? Has he been in custody since July of 22 or 23?
July of 22.
All right. I'm seeing, I thought it was a first appearance form from July 10th of 2023. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Or did he have an earlier hearing?
He was in custody on other CP cases.
Got it. All right. So in connection with this complaint, there was a bond hearing in July of 23. During that hearing, a $50,000 bond was set on one of the counts. And there was subsequently appears a preliminary hearing. Is that correct, counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Is your last name Rondon?
Yes, it is.
All right. And that is what brings you before the court. And so the court is ready.
Yes, Your Honor. Before you is Mr. Williams. He is 58 years old, and he is a lifelong resident of the state of Georgia. And he does have the majority of his family here, including his 6 children that are all grown adults. He has a 12th grade education from Richmond Academy, and prior to his arrest in 2022, he owned and operated several businesses. His incarceration has, of course, put those businesses on pause, and they have not been operating since then. He does have significant ties to the community, as he's been here his entire life. I do not believe Mr. Williams is a flight risk. I do see 1 FTA on his GCIC from 2004, but it is nearly 20 years old, and Mr. Williams is looking forward to his day in court to prove his innocence of all charges against him. I would ask Your Honor to please set bond in this case, and for bond not to exceed $100,000 total.
The FTA from 2004 was in connection with what offense?
One moment, Your Honor.
I'll just pause for a second. She took a really long time to find the facts about that case, and I just cut it out. But you hear her saying that Ernesto is looking forward to establishing his innocence, so he's going to fight this. So there's going to be some more footage about this man. And this is just, remember, this is just one case out of 4 or 5.
Your Honor, I believe that charge is a robbery.
Were you able to find the information?
Your Honor, yes, it looks like the failure to appear was from a probation, and the charges are armed robbery and theft by receiving.
And are those charges still open and pending?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Day?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Alicia Taylor for the state. The state is requesting no bond for Mr. Williams. We state that he's a danger to the community. In this case, Mr. Williams was met the victim at a gas station and basically befriended her, stated that he could help her with her career. She was a young woman, 19 years old, who wanted to go into the hair business. He's a person of means as he's married to a local celebrity radio personality, and used that to deceive her into thinking that he could help her with her career. At some time, he met with her at his motor coach, took her to the back of that motor coach and forcibly penetrated her, placing his penis in her vagina and anus area, Your Honor. She repeatedly stated that she did not want to engage in sexual activity with him. He did threaten her and insist that she needed to engage in these activities and that he could help her with her career. He also forced her to sign a contract in blood.
What does that mean?
Basically, he pricked her finger, Your Honor, took the blood and gave her sign. She was young, again, 19, and felt compelled and coerced into these activities. Furthermore, we would state that he is a flight risk, Your Honor. There were several jail calls where he talked about leaving the country. One jail call, he talked about having the willingness to provide because he had the means to do so. There were other jail calls where he discussed going out of state to Florida, as well as other locations. But not only to the danger of the community and flight risk, the victim is still very scared for her life. She is not pregnant for today, but it's just her, the fact that she's still severely traumatized and is in fear of him intimidating and coming to get her if he was to get out. The state, Your Honor, based on all those facts and the fact that he does have several cycles for criminal history. He had 19 cycles and at least 4 convictions. One conviction was in 1988 for theft. Another conviction was in 1990 for armed robbery and possession of a firearm. And another conviction, he had armed robbery again. That was related to the failure to appear as discussed by defense.
Was that a conviction in 2004, or has that case not been formally charged?
The armed robbery...
Let me just be clear, counsel. I'm not interested in cycles. I'm interested in felony convictions.
Yes, Your Honor. These are convictions that I'm relating to, Your Honor.
All right. So we have a 1990 armed robbery, a 1988 theft.
And in 1992 armed robbery again, Your Honor. There was also a 2006 false statement, guilty conviction, Your Honor.
All right. So let's go back to the 1988 theft case. Where did that occur?
In Folsom County, Your Honor.
Before what judge?
Let me just stop a second. Again, this hearing is about one case, but all of these charges against Ernesto, they're going to be heard. And the judge is getting ready to rip the state's attorney. She's going to get into her a little bit because she wants her courtroom to be very, very well prepared. And she's interested about the conviction. So all of this is playing a part in to how the judge is going to rule for Ernesto. And again, you're going to hear it come out that this hearing is about a case involving Ernesto and a girl when she was 19 years old. And you see how the state's attorney is laying it out that the girl was coerced. She felt compelled, and the signing with the blood. It all sounds really bad. And it is bad. I mean, him messing around with a 19-year-old. So this is like 4 years ago. But I will state it again. This man is still innocent until proven guilty. I'm sure this girl regrets the day that she got mixed up with him. But if this case goes forward, she's going to have to show up, because that is what this charge is about. He's going to have to go to court about all of his charges. And I just don't know how they're going to prove it's terrible what rape victims go through, but it's going to be hard for them to prove the points, at least the points that she's making here. But again, this isn't the trial. This is just a bond hearing. So I'll go on with the rest of what she had to say. But the judge wants evidence. She doesn't want them telling her, oh, I believe there was an arrest and I believe. It's like, no, I want to know the date. I want to know the court. I want to know the judge that presided over the matter. And I want to know what the sentencing was. She wants all the information. She demands that you are prepared. But let's go on.
Your Honor, because that case was in 1988, I do not have the full reading, but I do know that he was sentenced to 4 years of probation and that it occurred, the sentencing was in August of 1989.
And the 1990 armed robbery, what jurisdiction?
That was in Cobb County, Your Honor.
The sentence in that case?
She'll get to it.
Your Honor, I do not have the sentence for the Cobb County. I do know that it was a 10-year conviction. And
Did we sentence to 10 years?
yes, Your Honor, 10 years of confinement.
Let me just suggest to the state that going forward, when we have these kinds of hearings, the prior history is helpful to the court, and that includes the date of conviction, the nature of the charge, the jurisdiction, and the sentence.
Thank you.
All of that information. I don't know what other judges need, but that's what I need.
Thank you, Your Honor.
As to the 1992 armed robbery,
That was in Douglas County, Your Honor. He was sentenced to 10 years.
so is that a concurrent sentence to the Cobb case?
It is, Your Honor.
And was it a straight custodial sentence?
It was 10 years of confinement, Your Honor.
Right. And when I say straight, was there any period of probation or?
No, Your Honor, it looks like it was straight custodial.
Finish my question, Ms. Taylor.
Judge don't play.
All right, and the fourth conviction was what?
It was for giving false statements, Your Honor, in Cobb County on August 9th of 2006.
The sentence? Anything else?
No, there are several pending charges. They are CP numbers. The state is intending to indict those in the next 30 days.
All right. I'd like to know a bit about those because when I look at the booking information I have, there are quite a number, as you've indicated, cycles, but I'm unable to tell what the status of most of these cases is. So how many pending unindicted cases are there?
So there are 4 pending unindicted cases, Your Honor. There were 2 others that were dismissed, but will likely be brought again. There's pending investigation on those cases, Your Honor.
So you see what she said. Right now, there's 4 unindicted cases, and they dropped 2. One of which must be about these house pets. Any of y'all that have been listening to these jail calls from prison of Ernesto, they talked about these cases, and it's been in the news. There was one about the mishandling of children. I didn't really want all these terms, these criminal terms on my channel, but they're out there. But the assault and mishandling of children and the animals. So she's saying they're going to bring those back. They're looking forward to bringing those back. They are on Ernesto's neck. Let me go on.
Do you have the incident dates from the pending cases?
So one date was on July 12th. Another one was on
July 12th of what year?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. One case is September 27th of 2021.
All right, you're losing the counsel. Are we talking about July 12th or September?
I'm starting at September.
Date again, please. Can we pull the door up? I can't hear.
September 27th of 2021. It is a theft by deception case.
What jurisdiction are all of these in Fulton? All right.
There is another case that is June 23rd of 2021. It is a theft by deception again. There is a case from July 7th of 2022. It is for possession of child pornography. And there is, if you're ready on, there's also a case for death by dissection of June 4th of 2022, also in Folsom County, death by dissection.
So I guess the question becomes, if you contend that he's such a danger to the community and a flight risk, why do you have all these pending cases, particularly the one involving child pornography, that involves allegations of child pornography?
Yes, Your Honor. We've been in contact with the law enforcement agency, and we're awaiting several pieces of child sexually explicit material that has to be viewed before we indict it. We want to make sure we have the correct charges.
Well, how sure you have to be for something that's alleged to have occurred over a year ago,
Yes,
right?
Your
And the reason I'm asking that question is because if the state contends, as you've argued, and I think I understand your argument to some extent, that Mr. Williams is dangerous. If he was arrested for child pornography in July of 22, and the state wasn't diligent in moving forward with prosecution, he's back out. Now we have a second alleged victim of similar crimes.
Your Honor, actually, the cases were kind of simultaneous.
What's the incident date for this case?
When he was arrested,
I just need to know the incident date.
This case was July of 2022.
All right. July of what? When I say this case, I mean the CP case for which the court is holding the bond here.
Okay. Your Honor, I have to give some background.
No, you can answer my question first. What is the date for the aggravated sexual battery case that's on?
Let me just stop for a second. Y'all can see that the judge is not playing. The judge is not like us or you or me. I think we all been following these jail calls from prison with Ernesto and between Shirley Strawberry. I do not believe that the judge, the honorable judge, has been listening to all this pop culture, media, and news. So the judge really wants to be brought up to speed about what is this going on. You're talking about this child mishandling and you're talking about another 19-year-old, and the judge is looking like at that like these are young people that have been taken advantage of. So why all this? Why is it taking you so long to define what the problem is? And something that the state's attorney said, which was very interesting, and that is that they are weighing several pieces of evidence. In the news and throughout the media, they've been talking about one singular picture of what's considered child pornography. But she just said right there that they have several pieces and they're looking into the if it's truly, because some of these pictures you can argue, is it really pornography? Was this a family member or whatever? But clearly she is talking about several pieces of video or pictures. So there's more than the one that we heard about in the media. And hearing from me, that's why I'm on here, hearing these charges under the lights of the courtroom, stated by the judge and stated by the state's attorney, that just intensifies this whole thing. This is not a joke. This man, Ernesto, he can't seem to keep himself out of jail. He's been to jail like every couple of years up until, I guess, 2004, 2005. I don't know when he met Shirley exactly right now, but of course this was going on before he met Shirley. But this man is a career criminal. He has been charged and taken into prison for armed robbery. That ain't no joke. Not petty theft, not going and robbing somebody's house while they at work or stealing somebody's car, robbing people at gunpoint. So let me go on back to the judge.
Yeah.
The date for the aggravated sexual battery is 2019.
When in 2019?
January 8th of 2019.
Right. Now you can give me the background information.
As I was saying, basically, the case all came about when there was allegations of fraud. When they found the fraud allegations, the 4 cases came about. During the investigation for the fraud, officers extracted and reviewed cell phones and other devices and found the child pornography. The child pornography led to a further investigation, which there was kind of a press release. Once Mr. Williams' name was out, several women came forward giving additional information. From those interviews, we were able to gain information about this.
What's wrong with your mask? It's distracting. It's real flicked. Do you need a new one?
If your Honor would like.
You can bend the bridge, but it looks like you're losing part of it. Just for my safety, but it's yours too. I understand someone contracted COVID in the courtroom last week.
You heard that.
Thank you. Again, after the press release, women came forward, and that's how it led to us finding and interviewing the current victim in this case that did stem previously, but they were all related to.
So y'all heard that. When this started coming out in the media, some women came forward. She said several women came forward. And then that resulted in this girl who was 19 years old at the time. That resulted in her coming forward. She didn't come forward as soon as Ernesto was in the news. It was because of the other women. I mean, she's still a young woman herself. She was just coincidentally 19 when this happened in 2019. So that would make her 23 years old right now. Maybe she's 24. So hearing these charges in the courtroom and the judge is not playing, because like I said, she don't know about all this. I don't think she keeps up with Ernesto and Shirley Strawberry. So she's like, give me these facts. And why are you at this stage in your investigation? But I'm not going to jump in too much.
So when did she come forward?
From my review of the case, we heard about it after the discovery of the child in July of 2020. And then after talking to her, she allowed us to find out that the case actually happened previously in 2019.
It's very general. So she came forward sometime after July of 22. You don't know specifically when it was?
No, Your Honor. I know that after the child pornography case came about, and there was a press release.
Right, I heard all of that. I was curious to know when she came forward after all of those things happened. But you don't know.
I know that it was in the summer of, probably, I would say, summer of 2023, actually.
Right. Anything else?
That's the further from the statement.
And the 2 grounds that you cited as the basis of your opposition were flight risk and danger to the community?
Community and risk of
Ms.
intimidation.
Taylor, slow down. Let me finish my question and stop talking over me. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. My question was, were the 2 grounds you cited in opposition to bond flight risk and danger to the community?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else?
I also cite risk of intimidation and potential to commit further felony.
All right. Ms. Rondon, anything else on behalf of your client? Got an uphill battle.
Your Honor, I would just also like to mention that Mr. Williams is facing some serious medical conditions that would be better addressed and treated outside of the care
Sure
of.
they would, but he knew that he was facing those conditions before some of this stuff happened. So if he wanted top medical care, he probably should have thought about that before he put himself in a situation where he'd get arrested, don't you think?
Your Honor, I would just ask to please set a reasonable bond in this case. Nothing further.
All right. And I appreciate your argument. The court doesn't believe that there is much that I have to work with. You're looking at a defendant.
Let me just stop right there because I don't want to forget to say this. I believe that the state's attorney, she's a young lady, she's excited, but you see the judge does not play. She wants the facts. We know people commit crimes all the time, but it's about what you can prove. Unfortunately, someone can do you dirty, but the courts, you got to bring proof or just an overwhelming amount of circumstantial evidence. And this judge, even though she's real stern, she's harsh, she's cold, she is not playing about her courtroom. This may work to Ernesto's advantage. But I'm going to go back to what the judge has to say and get what his defense attorney is going to say. But I believe that the state's attorney, she's a young woman. She's excited. She's hot. Like a lot of people, you don't have to be a woman to hear all this mess Ernesto did and hear all these jail calls. Hey, she's just excited. But the judge is like, you know what? I want professionalism. And the woman is not that ill prepared, but the judge wants you to be thorough. Miss Kimberly Edward Adams, she is just not playing. So I'm gonna scoot back a little bit and let you hear
himself in a situation where he get arrested, don't you think?
For intimidation and potential to commit further felony.
Ms. Rondon, anything else on behalf of your client? Got an uphill battle.
Your Honor, I would just also like to mention that Mr. Williams is facing some serious medical conditions that would be better addressed and treated outside of the care.
Sure they would, but he knew that he was facing those conditions before some of this stuff happened. So if he wanted top medical care, he probably should have thought about that before he put himself in a situation where he'd get arrested, don't you think?
Your Honor, I would just ask to please set a reasonable bond in this case. Nothing further.
All right. And I appreciate your argument. The court doesn't believe that there is much that I have to work with. You're looking at a defendant who is currently under investigation for an aggravated sexual battery and rape case and aggravated sodomy with some related crimes, including trafficking a person for sexual servitude. It also appears that there are, as has been detailed, 4 pending complaints in Fulton County against your client, 2 for theft by deception, both from 2021, a child pornography case, charges stemming from an incident that is alleged to have occurred in July of 2022, and a 3rd theft by deception charge from June of 2022. In addition, Mr. Williams has 4 prior convictions: a 1988 theft, a 1990 armed robbery, a 1992 armed robbery, and a 2006 false statements case. Significantly for the court, for the 2 armed robberies from 90 and 92, as you heard me examining the state, Mr. Williams would have served a minimum of 10 years. Mr. Williams, how much time did you serve in those 2 cases?
Okay. So y'all hear the judge. The judge is not playing, and I had to stop it there. You notice that the infamous Sylvia has her name all over that footage. That's the way she wants it. She did do the work to go down there in the courtroom, and I find no other footage from this hearing, this bond hearing. It's like she is the only one there. But as this case picks up and his subsequent cases pick up, I think more media is going to get involved in this. But this is pretty heavy just for the bond hearing. The judge is not playing. She wants the facts. And you see that the state's attorney, they're like, we fear that he's a flight risk, that he will try to intimidate witnesses, and that he also may commit further felonies. And you see the man has been in jail at a like a tempo, like every couple of years. He's just not afraid to go to jail. He knows about these phone calls, and don't we all now know that these phone calls are recorded? They can be used against you. And there must be millions of calls, because at least even with Shirley, but when he went in July of last year, she did not stop communication with him until April of 2023. So, and sometimes he was speaking to her multiple times a day, plus his side chicks. So these phone calls from jail, they're probably never going to end. And this stuff is going to come out. Like, she brought him up there. He's talking about going to Dubai. He's talking about going to Florida. So we don't think that you should let him out. And let me say this, the infamous Sylvia, she did not record Ernesto Williams, his statements to the judge. And I think that was something that was agreed upon. She had to get permission, and the judge has a way she wants her courtroom to run. Infamous Sylvia talked about how the judge, she just has no tolerance for people walking across her courtroom. She doesn't play, but she seems to be very fair. I'm sure the woman has a load of work to deal with, and she just wants the facts, and she's thorough. She wants all of the facts, all of any relative information that is going to help her give a judgment. And of course, Ernesto's bond was denied. And oh man. And Shirley Strawberry, I have done a playlist about Shirley Strawberry and this whole entanglement with Ernesto Williams. I know a lot of y'all listen to Chronicle Speaks. She's actually the one that brought me over to the infamous Sylvia, to her page. I was watching her when she was covering Cardi B, and she really does do things with a lot of integrity. She's not trying to rip people up. I'm not trying to rip people up either, but Shirley Strawberry she still has suspicion around her, even though it turns out that she's not technically married to Ernesto. But there's some things suspicious to me about how Shirley Strawberry was not wanting her daughter to speak to the police. And I mean, she was coming at her daughter hard in those phone calls about speaking to the police. Why would she do that? Talking to Ernesto. But it's like, this is why it's suspicious to me. If your husband is arrested and you feel that he is being unlawfully detained, that he's innocent, wouldn't your daughter talking to the police help him prove his innocence? She could speak to his character, that nothing's going on. But no, that's not what happened. Her daughter, Sheridan, went down to the police station and she got enlightened. And that is why Sheridan put out that restraining order against Ernesto. And that's why Shirley Strawberry was on the phone talking to Ernesto. Why was she doing? Why would she get a restraining order put against you? Why are you asking Ernesto? Why don't you ask your daughter? Because her daughter told her in whatever conversations, Shirley, I don't know if Shirley was going to spend some nights at her house or if she wanted to see her grandkids. She said, yeah, you can come, but he's not welcome. And then she's asking Ernesto on the phone. Why would she say that? Why wouldn't you ask your daughter that? Because you know, if somebody said that to you, you're not going to let that statement stand alone and just back up with your mouth closed and not ask anything else. You're going to say, why are you saying that? I mean, a restraining order, you're welcome in my house, but your husband's not. I mean, that would be like her stepfather. So, and the stuff about Shirley paying her rent. Shirley's paying her rent, yet she's getting evictions. She's paying her rent. She's talking about paying her daughter's rent on the phone, even while Ernesto is in jail, and Shirley Strawberry is basically couch surfing. So what's going on? There's something funny going on. There's some reason why Shirley didn't want her to go down to speak to the police. And I don't think it had anything to do with her being suspicious that Ernesto did some unsavory things with the young females in the family. It's something else that Shirley, she seems like a lovely lady. She really does. And I think Shirley had a peaceful life until she met this man. But Shirley, she done got herself mixed up in something. I hope she's able to sidestep this marriage really like without a scratch. But there's some more information that's going to come up, just this bond hearing. This wasn't his day in court. This is just a bond hearing, and you're hearing these charges laid out real smooth. So I'm looking forward to covering this. Again, we have the infamous Sylvia to thank for that courtroom footage. It's not mine. I just wanted to react to it. This story just, it messes with me. And you know what? While we got Steve Harvey here, please check out my playlist on this. I talk about this, how I don't appreciate Steve Harvey. He's somebody that I like, but I don't like everything Steve Harvey does. He used this whole incident with these leaked jail calls as an opportunity to lash out at vloggers for attacking his wife. And Shirley, I don't appreciate her sitting up apologizing to Steve Harvey over and over and over as if she said something so unforgivable about him. No, she didn't say unforgivable things about Steve Harvey. She said unforgivable things about her daughter. I mean, that her daughter's jealous of her. How often do you hear that's a seniorly woman, saying that her daughter's jealous of her? It kind of like doesn't even fit Shirley's style. She seems, like I said, she seems like a more of an elegant woman than this. Maybe she's had a temporary lapse in judgment. It happens to women. It's happened to me. Your nose get open and you get sprung. But I don't appreciate Steve Harvey and Shirley Strawberry trying to insult our intelligence and doing this bait and switch. And she just basically giving up nothing in her Strawberry letter and hiding behind Steve so that he can just attack everybody that's ever left a comment, everybody that's ever left done a video on him. And I don't take it personally because I've never done a video about Steve Harvey before this whole Shirley Strawberry leak jail calls. I've not been really concerned about him and his wife, Marjorie, although his previous wife, it looks like he did her a little, I don't care what he said, it looks like he did her a little dirty, but I have not been inspired to make a video about it. But this mess with this Ernesto, I said a man is innocent until proven guilty, but Ernesto, it's just too much dirt flying around. I mean, the man's caught up with all these women and he wants people to think, he wants his side chicks to think that Shirley Strawberry she knows what's up with him. She knows what kind of man he is. But we're going to see, because Shirley is going to have to speak out on these issues. Shirley lived with this man. They've made business moves together. I'm sure they share some kind of joint accounts together. Woo, we're going to hear about it, but I thank y'all so much for joining me. I just wanted to do a reaction to that video. This got a little bit longer than I planned, but again, I do appreciate y'all joining me. And I'll be back for another one. Until I see y'all the next time, y'all keep living your life like it's golden. Peace.